Apparently, it is as usual when they were announced. The video game community was all over the place, both in support of and dissension towards the top 6 games that were picked for the Game Awards Game of the Year nominees. The nominees this year were or are, and this happens on the 8th of December, by the way, the Game Awards for the actual show, if I'm not mistaken. The 6 games were A Plague Tale Requiem, which is that sequel to A Plague Tale. Elden Ring, no shit. God of War Ragnarok, big surprise. Horizon Forbidden West, not shocking. The last 2 are the ones that were dark horses. So Stray, which is that cat game that took over the fucking internet for a while, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which of all of them in the list for me made the least amount of fucking sense. I didn't hear anyone sitting around saying anything. Even my most die-hard Japanese RPG community members or the people I follow in socials, nobody was like, oh my god, this is the game of the year. Like, nobody said that about Xenoblade Chronicles. But you know what a lot of people did say in the critics and community? Vampire Survivors, that $2 fucking Steam game that every creator and everyone, because it's $2, and everyone thought it was super fucking fun and amazing. And a lot of people were saying, this should probably make the list. Not because it's a super complicated game, but if you think about it, if you can take a $2 video game and have everyone play it for like fucking tens of hours on end, that has to be a pretty fucking good video game. And so, yeah, I don't know, but the list is the usual suspects. Everyone knew that Elden Ring was going to be there, God of War Ragnarok was going to be there, Horizon Forbidden West was going to be there, mostly because Zelda didn't come out this year, otherwise Zelda would have been there and Horizon would have been sent to the Shadow Realm, as per usual. But it does bring up the same question as usual, with the exceptions of perhaps Stray. The types of games that get to Game of the Year is like the same. It's kind of like the Oscars in the movies, right? There's a type that makes it. It's an action-adventure RPG almost without fail, with very few outside the box of that. I mean, look at the big 3 that are there. That's essentially what you're looking at. I would be shocked if Elden Ring doesn't take the Game of the Year. I can't even. It's as far as I remember, for Metacritic, I think it's still either tied for or is the highest rated game of all time. If you include the number of people that reviewed it, because there are some games, that have like fucking 9.9, and you look at the number of reviews, like 3. It's not the same thing, not quite the same thing. So I would suspect that's the case. You played Elden Ring. I'm not crazy, right? You dipped your toes in the water for Elden Ring, didn't you?
Yeah.
And how did you enjoy your time at Elden Ring? Because I know you played Dark Souls games before. Was it like the best Souls game that you played, or did you think that it lost something?
No, it's not the best Souls game. I'm going to trigger a lot of people when I say that.
Were you a Bloodborne guy then? Instead, is Bloodborne still your number one?
I'm Bloodborne. I don't
think that would trigger a lot. I think Bloodborne. A lot of people consider Bloodborne to be like the fucking
and
the tits.
The thing that I didn't like the most about Elden Ring, and I'm probably gonna go back and because I didn't actually beat the game, so it's like it's hard for me to, to rank a game or rate a game if I didn't actually complete it. But at the same time, if it was really like amazing, I would have finished it.
How many bosses did you get in? Because apparently there's like a fucking shitload.
Yeah, I probably fought like at least 15 bosses.
Oh, okay. So you got around a little bit then.
Yeah. I put in some hours for sure. I think the thing that hurt the game the most for me, and I think it's one of the reasons why some people really loved it, was exactly what I was talking about before. It's just too open world. It's too choose your own adventure, which I can appreciate, especially for a game like that. But the game is so big, and it's so like
it's overwhelming. Like the choices are overwhelming.
It's
like
overwhelming.
Too much selection.
Yeah, and you'll get to certain bosses that you're just not ready for, and I don't really like that. I don't like going and fighting a boss and spending hours on it to realize like, hey, I'm severely underleveled or I'm severely underskilled to be here. And then there's a lot of backtracking, and it's just, I don't know, the pace of it. I liked the Dark Souls experience where you're kind of progressing through the game, and then you're kind of hitting the bosses that you belong at.
And there's
as you're
like
progressing.
some choice, but it's not like
choice. It's not like
40
dude,
different fucking branching paths that you can take.
you start the game and it literally just drops you off. You can pretty much go anywhere you want. Like obviously there's a few places that you can't go, but like you can pretty much go wherever you want.
So is the analogy for this like when you go to a restaurant, you like going to a place where you got a menu, but it's not a huge menu. There's not 48 pages there. You know what you're getting for the most part when you get there. You get to choose what you want. You got some selection, but it's pretty railroaded as to what you're going to get at this restaurant. Like going to the Cut. You know you're getting a steak when you go to the Cut. Yeah. You might not know exactly what else you're going to get there for sides and everything else, but you're going to the Cut for a steak. And then there's the type of people that are like, fuck that shit. I want to go to an all-you-can-eat buffet that has about every cuisine known to man, and there's 48 rows of fucking hot plates. And you don't know, there's breakfast food, lunch food, dinner food, desserts, fresh fruit and vegetables, some cooked, some steamed, some poached, baked, fried. You go into a dark corner like the one that used to be out in Bayers Lake. You'd go into the fucking like dark corner with like nothing but red lights. It looked like you were in a fucking photo room. And that's where they kept all the like mastodon fucking like meat legs and shit. And you'd walk out of there looking like a caveman playing baseball with a fucking zebra's fucking thigh. And like shit like this is endless. And that's great, because on paper you're like, well, fuck me, I can get whatever I want. But when you get there and you're looking at this field of food,
it's too much, man. It's too much selection, and it's just too much. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just too much. You know, give me if you're gonna have an all-you-can-eat buffet, at least keep it the same genre of food. You know, just like a Mexican all-you-can-eat buffet or a whatever. And it's not even that the game is bad. I think mechanically the game is sound and it's a beautiful looking game. I mean, it's very impressive, the stuff they've done with it. Like, it deserves Game of the Year. But Jesus, man, it's you know, I guess I'm just like, I'm old school. I'm just stuck in my ways as a gamer, you know?
Everyone's got their shit, right? Some people like it super open. Some people like it railroaded a lot more. Like, we talked about this last week. You're a Final Fantasy 13 fan for that reason. Maybe we did agree, maybe a little bit more than Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, just a little bit more not linear. Like, Final Fantasy 13 was a little too linear. This one is just, it's way too open world. It's just way too, it's too open. And also, since it's so open, like, you get lost. Like, you're just kind of running around for a long time, and then you fight the same creeps over and over and over and over and over again. Like, you'll leave an area, you'll come back, and they're in the same spots, in the same positions, the same things. And it's just kind of meh overall. It's like it's like they had a really great concept. They have like a really solid 8 hours of gameplay, and then they're like, let's just multiply that by 10 and just kind of spread it out. Because even all the bosses feel very similar. It just felt very, I don't know. It almost, I don't want to say rushed, but it just felt.
Did it feel like when they sat down and said, all right, we have to make this open world and we have to have like 50 bosses, that maybe they were just shooting a little high, and then it was hard to not. It's because you have 50 bosses, especially when you've already done. Because some people that are on Elden Ring were guaranteed to have done at least one other Souls-like game from FromSoft in the past. So, like, how difficult does it get for them to eventually, finally get to a point where their bosses don't start to feel samey, right? Like, at some point, they're going to feel samey. It's like, it's hard to avoid that, right?
Yeah. And the bosses were, I mean, it could be because I've gotten better, but the bosses were fairly easy too. Like, it didn't take a whole lot of skill to beat the vast majority of these bosses. And they've got like summons now, and you can like, it just makes the game a lot easier. But yeah, overall, I know I've been kind of harping on the game. It's a great game. So I had fun with it. I just didn't have the patience to sit around for 50, 60 hours. There isn't a lot of games. It's not even Elden Ring. It could be a fucking any game, really, at this point. I just don't have 50 or 60 hours of commitment to play a single player game. Multiplayer game, I can easily put in 50, 60, 100, 200, 300 hours over a period of time. But to play a story mode for 50, 60 hours, I don't have time for that shit.
Is some of that because when you do have to take an extended break, you come back, you feel like you're completely fucking lost as to where you last were, or is it that it just takes so long for you to get through the whole game that you lose interest in the story because like after a while it's just not as interesting? Like you just kind of like lose your will.
I think it's a little bit of column A and column B, and then also I just think it's like I just don't have a whole lot of free time anyway, and I guess I mean, who am I kidding? Like if I was streaming the game and it was like blowing up in numbers and stuff, like obviously I'll fucking play the game for 50, 60. I'll play it for 300-400 hours, if I'm fucking making money off it. But like that's because I'm making money off it. Like I got to be honest with myself. Am I going to sit there and play the game for free? Like and pay for it and then play it not get paid? The answer is yes, but not for 50, 60, 70, 80 hours. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's actually kind of like my concern. I haven't played Elden Ring yet. I'm saving it. I'm saving it for when I'm out of the into the new place, and it will be probably one of the first not multiplayer games that I will sit down and play that are newer when that happens. And my concerns, I'm a little bit more tolerant to open world stuff because my favorite series is Elder Scrolls. But Elder Scrolls also does a really good job of giving you an open world, but still railroading you in ways. And my concern is the moment that you take like some of those limitations off, and it sounds like maybe that's what Elden Ring is like. It's literally just
that's it.
Have at it.
Go. Good luck.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. I'll have to wait and find out. But yeah. Either way, I would be shocked if Elden Ring doesn't take fucking Game of the Year. That would be very, very surprising to me indeed. Although we did have upsets before. Last year it was what It Takes Two, that indie game won last year, so you never know. Also related to the Game Awards, they announced all the categories, and the Content Creator of the Year nomination list was released. And even though I feel like it's there because I think that Jeff Keighley, I know Jeff Keighley liked the guy. I feel like it was almost like a if they didn't, they were afraid that they would have people yell at them. But Nibelian, actually, the Nibel, the guy that stepped away from Twitter a couple weeks ago, that every gaming podcast on Earth got fucked for when he left, is on that list. We'll see what comes out. I doubt he's going to win, but he's on the list. And otherwise, other than that, I don't have the rest of the people here, but it's the usual fucking suspects. It's Content Creator of the Year, it's the usual fucking people. Really, the list could be reduced to like Mr. Beast, fucking Ludwig, XQC, Cuties, Cinderella. Call it a day. It's like it's the same. It's gonna be like the same. Fucking what's her name? Oh my god, how do I? It's probably a good thing I don't remember her name. Anyway, it's like the same fucking like 7 people on rotation.